G'day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan battle video. In this video we are going to take a look at how the Strength Super Vegeta performs in the Gods of Destruction event. Now there are two physical Gods of Destruction where Strength Vegeta is going to be useful. Strength Vegeta could be useful in quite a few events. His permanent crit status kind of helps him a lot in terms of just dealing damage. The only issue he is going to have is his defense. Even in type advantage God of Destruction situations, Vegeta is going to take a lot of damage because of two reasons. One, he needs to fire off his super attack to get a decent portion of his defense, and of course he also needs to take a single hit to get another significant portion of his defense. So in a situation like you just saw, where Vegeta is getting super attacked before he's taken a hit or before he's fired his super attack, he is going to be taking a huge amount of damage, which isn't necessarily the best scenario at all for Vegeta. That was with a Whis active, and Vegeta still took 70k. Now a Rainbow Vegeta that manages to fire off his super attack and manages to take a hit will probably have very significant defense that will allow him to output a tremendous amount of power. But the issue is going to be essentially getting all that to activate. Now in type advantage situations like we have here, Vegeta is okay. He doesn't take too much damage from the normal attack, and he doesn't take a tremendous amount of damage from the super attack with an item active. The issue he is going to have, unfortunately, in other events where he doesn't have type advantage is that he is basically carrying a lot of damage potential. If he gets supered or he takes too many attacks, he's basically going to be out of the water. In type advantage, so basically against these two Gods of Destructions, he is very, very solid. His attack damage is great. You can see here he's doing roughly a bar, or just around 2/3 of a bar with his super attack, which is great considering that this isn't even a Rainbow Vegeta. So he's doing a really, really solid amount of damage, a really good level of damage, which is great. After he supers, his defense is going to be very, very solid, and with an item he shouldn't take any damage after his super. Yeah, as you can see, he doesn't take too much damage there. If he had got hit beforehand, we would have seen a lot more damage, which we do kind of need. The good thing about Vegeta is that he does deal a huge amount of damage, and that is important in these Gods of Destruction events, because you don't necessarily have the easiest time against him. You can't really stall out forever. You do have to eventually finish them off, and unless your units are greatly stacking units, or units that can stack quickly, or maybe you have them rainbowed and their stats can get up quite quickly, you are going to be struggling to essentially benefit a lot from their defense. You're not going to be able to stack defense to the point where you're going to easily handle the event. You will be able to prevent a lot of damage, but you are going to need to keep the damage rolling in. Eventually you will outscale the damage if you do bring a full stacking team, but it's not something that I fully suggest, as it can lead to you having quite a few issues. As you can see here though, Vegeta doing a really solid job, not really letting us down at all, doing some really, really good numbers, and just dishing out some really good damage. In this situation we are going to take the heal from the Goku and the Vegeta unit. We do not have a item active, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of levels of damage Vegeta will take in this situation. Now if he gets super attacked before he fires off his super attack, or before he takes a hit, he is going to struggle. It's not really something he can avoid, but it will be interesting to see. So you can see here 26k without an item, not bad at all. And then when he fires off his super attack, should be fine. Shouldn't take too much damage. We saw that again, dishing out a fantastic amount of damage. Got an evasion as well, which was a bit weird. Persons obviously put evasion on their unit, which is interesting for a unit that thrives on getting hit to maximize his damage. But overall, yeah, pretty impressive from Vegeta there. We will see him take a super attack now, which will be interesting to see, and we'll see how much damage he takes there. So this AoE super attack doesn't hit each unit as hard as other ones do. 92k is not bad. So in this fight, 92k, 26 on the normal, after activating his defense, probably wouldn't take anything. Firing off his super attack also probably wouldn't take anything. So in that situation, I think Vegeta is great. I think Vegeta is entirely usable in that fight. He does great damage. Possibly as a floater is the best way to utilize him, just to obviously prevent, you know, him being in the way of a lot of damage. But in that situation, he does really, really well. We'll now jump across to the next one, Sidra. We'll take on Sidra next, and we'll see how he goes here. Now, Sidra is a little bit different in that he's not AoE focused, he's more single target focused, which should ideally play into Vegeta's favor. It means that there's a lot less chance of him catching a super attack before he fires off his super attack, and realistically we should have a bit of a better time in terms of maximizing out his damage and kind of getting him to do some really good numbers while also remaining defensively sound. Remember, the best situation for Vegeta a lot of the time is taking a single attack before he fires his super attack, so they can proc his extra damage, and then when he fires his super attack, he's taking the majority of his attacks afterwards. That then allows him to essentially have his maximized defense for the majority of the attacks he is taking. You can see here obviously the SS3 Vegeta doing a very solid job, but yeah, the Super Vegeta looks pretty solid, doing some really good damage, which I think is great. Obviously the crits just help so much. Even the Gods of Destruction event, where you have type advantage if you're running a mono team, which I do for the majority of the part, like majority of the session, it is still pretty difficult to like just, you know, take attacks and deal out damage. So having crits is really, really helpful. As you can see here, Vegeta doing really good damage, and yeah, just a constant level of good damage, which helps out everyone. Of course, we do a little bit better in the Sidra situation. I think the main reason being that you can't, well, you have a bit more control over trying to align defensive units with attacks to prevent supers. We also get a little bit lucky with our supers in general. But for the most part, Vegeta not taking, like, even those AoE supers, like, yes, after supering and everything, he took 90k, which was decent, very, very good. Not to criticize him in that situation, but the fact that you can, at least for the most part, try and event the AoE damage, which is one of the biggest hindrances to a unit like Vegeta that needs very situational circumstances to maximize his damage and his defense. You know, it does help, and I think Sidra is a little bit more aligned to a situation that works for Strength Super Vegeta the best. I think that's really where he does like a really good amount of damage and is really solid. You can see that this team overall is just functioning a bit better against Sidra, which is obviously great and really does help out Vegeta a lot. But yeah, for the most part, I think Vegeta is a very good unit for the Gods of Destruction events. You do need to think about how you're using him. Maybe you want to float him just to get the best out of him in terms of his defense. Maybe instead you want to keep him in the front rotation and hope that he can take the hits. As you can see here, you know, 3k with an item, not bad. Nice big chunky attack stat, over 3 million. Guaranteed to crit, of course, which is fantastic. And then, you know, afterwards his defense is more than fine, which is great. But like I said, maybe you want to maximize his defense. Maybe you want to go for the more offensive approach, again taking a super on the correct unit. But maybe you want to maximize the defensive approach. Maybe you want to just place him as a floater and have his crit damage as more of a bonus than something to build around. I think Vegeta's defense is strong enough if you can find a rainbow friend for him to be the main focal point, for him to be the main unit, as he won't take too much damage on that first hit, and then after then he is quite strong. he should be able to tank normals for single digits, and then he should, once he fires off his super attack, have pretty decent strength against a super attack, although it is quite difficult to survive those. But yeah, generally for the most part, I think Vegeta is really good, and yeah, I just find them to be a really great source of damage, which I think is not something that this team maybe lacked, but is definitely something that's good overall. I think when you get a unit that has guaranteed crits that can do big damage, I mean, we still have his active skill, which we won't be able to use in the video because we just die one turn too short, but we will be able to see him really utilize and maximize his damage. It's going to be a #1 damage dealer for you. So we use the active skill again to heal, and we'll just jump back in afterwards so you can experience the active skill. Always a really cool active skill, that one, so sometimes I like to just let it play out. I know we didn't in the previous fight, but I thought taking it on a second time, why not? So this is no item, 40k, quite a lot of damage, considering. That being said, not a rainbow unit at all, so you can definitely get a bit better. After firing off the super attack, single digits. So you can see that taking that hit and firing the super attack really kind of improved his defense quite substantially. Being able to take only 40k from that Sidra, really not too bad. And yeah, just overall pretty solid performance from Vegeta. So you can see defensively he's great in that kind of after supering situation. Ideally you want him to super and then take a hit, and then he's got maximum defense possible. But yeah, it's just going to depend on what kind of build you're going for. You can see here we've done pretty tremendous power to Sidra. Realistically, we could possibly beat him. You would need a little bit of luck. You would need the SS4 Vegeta to ideally counter or evade his super attack if he does get fired with one. But for the most part, it is overall a pretty fun event, and Super Vegeta I think is a good unit for it. I think he's really solid. His defense is good enough, especially when utilized in the correct circumstances, and yeah, he just basically can do some real good damage, which is really solid. We managed to get the save on the super attack, essentially hitting the SS3 Vegeta, who realistically does a tremendous amount of damage. Can prevent a tremendous amount of damage, which is fantastic. And then we have Goku and Vegeta, the SS4 units, following up with some really good attacks. And then all of a sudden Vidra is at 0 health, which is fantastic. In this situation here, you could stick Vegeta in the first slot. Not entirely necessary, but I mean, I kind of wanted to see how Vegeta did the whole way through. Again, really good attack stat even without taking the hit, and he's going to have criticals, which will deal out a lot of damage. And if we get the additional, then he should win, which he does. So yeah. Is it possible with Vegeta? Well, it is, because we just completed it with him. So very solid performance by him. Definitely better than the AoE event, which I think kind of takes advantage of his lack of defense after taking a hit or supering. Whereas in this event, we have a little bit more control over when we decide Vegeta is going to take more attacks than he usually would. But that's it from me. Let me know what you think in the comments, or leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Otherwise, stay safe. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care and bye.